This is Living Life with Brendan podcast, inspiring people to choose to focus on the positives and live a life with purpose. Welcome back to another episode of Living Life with Brendan podcast. I'm so happy to have my guest on today, Ashley DuBose.
Hey.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm so happy to be here.
Perfect. Great. Well, I just want you to introduce yourself to the audience here. Let them get to know you quick.
Well, hey, y'all. I'm Ashley DuBose, DuBose. I'm a singer. I'm a mother. I wear a lot of hats. Recently, I've been able to call myself a real estate investor or a real estate developer. I've also done gigs as a substitute teacher. I have a degree in math. Lots of things. But I think today's conversation is going to center around my role as a singer, probably.
Yeah, a little bit there. You do wear a lot of hats.
I do wear. I didn't even. That's a fraction of them.
That's all right. It's good. Keeps your knowledge going.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to kind of start off with just how we met. And small world funny story.
Mm-hmm.
We actually both went to Gustavus Adolphus.
Yes.
Freshman year, same year. I remember, I'm not sure if you're going to remember this, but I remember walking through our cafeteria. So we had I think it was a talent show for all the freshmen because we got there a little bit earlier than the rest of the class.
Okay, I remember being there like a week early.
Yep. Yeah, so we were a little bit earlier, so it wasn't fully packed, but still a lot of people there. And I was in line, and there were some bad singers, some bad performers out there. And I just remember hearing this, kind of laughing, kind of enjoying. And then I remember getting food and hearing your voice singing. And I believe you were singing Killing Me Softly. And I had to just go get my food and stand in awe to you singing. And it was unbelievable. So I don't know if you remember that or not.
I don't remember that moment. I remember that we came early. I remember singing at Gustavus, but it wasn't that time. I think it was my freshman year, or it might have been it was my freshman year. It was later on when we had everybody there, so it must have been like it was Gustavus Got Talent or something.
Oh, the big competition that they held.
Yeah, and okay. I did an original song. So I remember performing in the cafeteria. I don't remember this specific performance, but Killing Me Softly is one of my go-to songs, and I've been singing it ever since I was little, like 6 or 7 years old.
Okay.
When it was like big and on the radio and stuff, the Fugees rendition of it.
Yes.
Yep.
Of course. So I remember hearing that and kind of following you ever since there, being like, she is definitely going to make it singing.
Oh,
and
that's so dope.
So, as our freshmen, we were talking a little bit before, I was injured after my sophomore year, and you made it through your sophomore year as well at Gustavus. I don't know if we ever crossed paths in the dive.
We probably did, because I remember being there faithfully. Like, it was like the church on Friday nights.
Right. For all you that don't know, the dive is a dance club for basically underage students on campus. It was an old swimming pool, and that's why they call it the dive, where everyone goes Friday night to the dance. And they
had a DJ.
Oh yeah.
Who was the DJ? Was Aaron the DJ?
I don't remember.
Aaron Gibson. Or what? No, he wasn't the DJ, because I remember seeing him on a dance floor. But yeah, no, it was a party.
It was Friday. A party, and it was a lot of fun. And a lot of Gustavus people will enjoy this a lot.
Oh, right man. Now. The dive was like one of the best parts of my college experience at Gustavus.
It was just so different, right? And it was controlled. It wasn't crazy. They didn't really let outsiders of Gustavus in there either.
They didn't, but we had some friends come from Mankato. And I actually remember some drama that unfolded one night in particular with a friend of mine, and his people who came from Mankato. But everybody's okay.
They just couldn't handle the dive.
It was just like a little combustion.
Right.
So much energy. And
it's a small area too.
Yeah.
So, no, it
was sweaty. It was fun.
Yes. It was always a good time there. Getting through those 2 years, but I want to go back even more to, as a singer, you'd mentioned done quite a bit with singing. As you grew up, kind of, when did it start? Who were some of your inspirations at the time? I know you'd mentioned you sang the Fugees here when you were 7.
Mhm.
What, was it 4? Was it 5? How did it all begin?
Well, I remember like growing up, the music that really connected with me was like 90s R&B. Actually, so I always say that the music that shaped me or informed my, I guess, my musical palette was 90s R&B, um, top 40 like pop, like KDWB and Christian alternative. So
Okay.
KTIS for those of you who are familiar with like the Twin Cities radio stations. So and then some gospel. So yeah, that's like genre wise what I was influenced by, but I liked everything from um Tony Braxton and Destiny's Child later on when they came out, and uh, Aaliyah, definitely Lauryn Hill. Um, man, a lot of them. Alanis Morissette, even Jewel, like India Arie was a big influence on
Right.
me. Yeah, I just have a very eclectic, um, yeah, eclectic taste and influence.
I like that. So do I. I feel like I like music from all different genres.
Hmm.
It's kind of shaped the way that I can listen to, and I feel like it pulls at emotions for me. I use music as therapy all the time, whether it's to help with the mood that I'm in
Hmm.
or kind of help me get out of a mood that I'm in.
Hmm.
So I'm constantly listening to music. So I listen to definitely all those artists that you have. Um,
Eminem, just
oh,
like I,
everybody, rap, rock,
yeah,
pop. I mean, I've listened to
everything.
everything.
The only 2, well, not just 2, but, like, I can't really get down with, like, heavy metal.
Hmm.
I can't understand, like, why like, it doesn't express anything within me, so that's probably why I don't connect with it, and it as a vocalist, like, hearing people scream,
Oh
it
yeah.
makes me physically feel the pain in my vocal cords, and then that's pretty much it. Everything else I can understand and get down with. Like, I'm like, I can see why people like that.
Right. I think I like, I've dabbled into the heavy rock with like Audio Slave and just a couple different bands there. But the lead singer has amazing vocal. So like they'll sing on a track and I'll be like, wow, that's really great. Then they'll scream on a different one and you're like, why aren't you just singing the whole time?
Question. Yeah, so when you said that, I was gonna say, is it because he's melodic? So the band you just mentioned,
Mhm.
is that a melodic singer?
So, yes, in a sense, he's got just a fantastic vocal range.
Mhm.
And same with like Shinedown has a
I
lead
never heard that.
singer. He sings like Simple Man as a cover for one, can just belt out singing, but then he
Mhm.
also is screaming on some tracks.
Which is crazy.
Right.
Like, how you have such a good singing voice, but you're able and willing to, in my opinion, damage your vocal cords to do this other song.
Right.
Maybe it's not damaged if they're controlling how they do it.
Yeah. It's a gift.
Evanescence, what are they considered?
I would like alternative rock.
Okay, I like their music.
Yeah. They had the one that I can't remember the name of the song. It's
Um,
super popular
I
though.
can hear it in my head. I'm not gonna try and sing right
No.
now.
Wake Me
Wake
Up.
me
There you
up
go. Steve with the
inside.
assist on
Yeah.
this one.
Um, yeah, so that's not heavy metal. I'm trying to see if there's any like
No, I can't do like
bands or
Slipknot. Like that's not for me.
yeah.
I can give it a listen, but I don't really understand.
I've heard of Slipknot.
Or Corn.
I've heard of Korn too.
Yeah, they're very popular.
So then maybe there are some songs that I can get down with that fall under
More heavy
that
rock.
genre. But like the screaming stuff,
Oh yeah, no, that's not for me.
that's death metal.
Yeah, we'll go death metal.
Okay, that's the genre I can't get down with. Okay, anyway.
No,
Moving on.
when did you know, or when did you decide that singing was going to be?
So, okay, so I would sing along to the songs on the radio, and then that would be like in my room and stuff. And then my mom, we were working at she was working at the Boys and Girls Club, and we attended the Boys and Girls Club as members. And they had a talent show coming up, and I signed up. And my mom wasn't aware that I liked to sing or that I could sing. Then some of the kids she worked in the art room. Some of the kids must have come up to her and was like, Miss Yvonne, do you know that your daughter's performing in the talent show. And then she's like, which daughter? Because she has 3 of them.
Right.
They were like, Ashley. And then, so when she realized that it was an interest and an ability of mine, she would encourage me to sing for people. So when did I realize it? I think I just knew that I liked to do it, and I could sing along with these songs that I enjoyed. So maybe that's when I realized it, and that was like at a younger age, like maybe 10 or so. And I would be writing my own songs too at that time. But when I start actually like singing out and like being encouraged to do that is when my mom found out, and she kind of like pushed me to perform in front of people, and in a positive way, not push me like
get
forced.
Up there. No.
Although sometimes I feel like, even to this day, she'll ask me to sing for people on the spot, and I'm like, Mommy, why do you do that? Like, but I just learned to just do it.
She's just proud of you.
She's proud of me. Yeah,
she wants to show you off a little bit.
Yeah.
What were you singing then in the talent show? Do you remember?
I would always do, well, in the talent show, I did Aaliyah. I think I did I Care For You.
Okay.
Or 4-Page Letter. 4-Page Letter.
Okay.
And then when she would have me sing for people, I had my go-to song, which was a Destiny's Child song. And I think it's called Happy Face.
Okay. I was going to ask you, I got a couple pop quizzes, whether you like this or that. Mm-hmm. One of them would have been TLC or Destiny's Child.
Ooh, that's hard.
Stuff.
Ooh, I'm going to have to say Destiny's Child, because I just... Did you ask, was that a real question? You just asked?
Real question.
Okay, so yeah, Destiny's Child. Okay. But it's hard. But I definitely love TLC, and I had a lot of songs in my life soundtrack consists of a lot of TLC, but more Destiny's Child than TLC.
Gotcha. Staying away from waterfalls?
I love waterfalls. I still perform that actually to this day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I actually performed TLC songs more than Destiny's Child songs, but yeah, the harmonies, Beyonce.
It's tough to beat.
Yeah.
It is. Another one for you. NSYNC or Backstreet Boys?
Oh, that's easy. Backstreet Boys.
Right.
I love NSYNC too, but
they were my first. I was in 2nd grade and I got to go to both concerts. And it was just I didn't know much about concerts music. I went to Backstreet Boys and NSYNC like a couple weeks apart from each other.
History.
I know. Didn't even know what I was in the presence of at the time.
Oh my gosh. I went to Brian, right? From Backstreet Boys.
Yep, one of the lead singers.
He ended up doing like a Christian contemporary like solo career.
Okay.
And he performed, I think it was at the State Fair, and I went and saw him.
Nice.
And that was the closest thing I ever got to seeing Backstreet Boys live. Everything else was on video, and
of course.
But I was a Backstreet Boys fan.
Yeah. I was split. I really liked NSYNC, but I think Backstreet Boys had better songs.
Why don't people ever talk about 98 Degrees?
It's another great group. There was a year of the boy bands, kind of all of them going through. Nick Lachey, he was on Top of the World, and then he was with Jessica Simpson for a while.
Yep.
And then his brother in there too, right? Drew Lachey was also 98 Degrees.
I forgot his name, but I knew that they were like the cute ones.
I think they only had like 4 songs though that really popped out.
I can't even think of one right now, but I know if you started singing
This I Promise You.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, then you had all these groups like O-Town come out.
O-Town.
'Cause I Want It All or Nothing at All.
How's it go?
'Cause I want it all or nothing
at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yep.
And there's a bunch of groups that kind of came around that were like that, but I always revert back to as well, like Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were like the predecessors of Backstreet Boys and
the boy band, the R&B boy band.
Did you like Jagged Edge?
I love Jagged Edge.
Jagged Edge.
They always played. They always had one going at a club all the time. Yeah. Let's Get Married remix.
Oh, they had everything. Yep. And whenever I try to like list stuff, my mind goes blank. That's but like it's a vibe. It's like
it's so
nostalgic, and
it was everybody knew what was going on when they were playing that. That's what I feel like we were so blessed with music in the 90s, 2000s.
The kids of today will never know. Well,
No?
they'll know, the same way we know about music from like the
Right.
70s and 80s, even though we didn't like live through that era.
If they want to.
If they want to, and if their parents expose them to it.
That's the biggest thing. I keep trying to push more music on my nephews. They're they're not as open to it as I'd like them to
So
be.
they like the music of today?
Yes and no, because it's all they know.
Yeah.
I hope you're doing
My
good work.
daughter, she knows songs that I don't even know from like back in the 60s and 70s because her grandparents listened to it and she was like up under them a lot growing up.
Oh,
So she knows songs. I'm like, how you know that song? She's like, my grandpa listens to it, or my dad listens to it. She has a very like much broader repertoire of music than I did at her age.
can she sing? Does she sing?
She can sing. She can definitely hold a note. She has a good ear.
Okay.
She's not like a let me sing for you
Right.
kind of person. She's more shy and like, but she can sing.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, let's move to The Voice, which I'm sure a lot of people probably know you from.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, Ashley was on The Voice, not only on The Voice,
Season 5.
but 4 chair turns on The
Oh
Voice.
yeah, 4 chair turns, top 32 contestant.
No big deal.
No big deal.
So how did that come about, I guess, now I've heard some stories of, missing it almost and kind of how it all played through.
Yeah, so let me see if I can tell this. I'm a very detailed storyteller, so I'm gonna see if I can like convey the details, but keep it succinct.
Sure.
So I met a young woman at a performance that I did. She came to see another artist named Ashley Gold, who's a singer in town in Minneapolis, Twin Cities local scene. And then I was performing and she was like, "Oh my goodness, now I'm a fan of you now." And I like Ashley Gold and Ashley DuBose. Like, you guys are awesome. And she started to follow me. We connected like on Facebook and stuff. And she dropped me a note to let me know that The Voice was going to be in town and she thought I should audition. And I was like, "Oh, I know about The Voice." Like, it was fairly new. It was only the second year because they do 2 seasons a year. So they were auditioning for season 4.
Okay.
And I was like, so she told me like a day before they were going to be in town, or maybe 2 days. But the day that they were going to be auditioning, my sister had a graduation party. So I was getting myself together and I had to go help with that, or at least attend. Can't remember if I was helping. But I had to register, missed the registration deadline to register to audition at 7 a.m. They had 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. 11 a.m. was full. When I went online, it was 9, but the 7 a.m. slot was open. But I was like, I can register for 7, but it's already after 7. So how is this going to work? So I sent an email and I'm like, hey, to the info@nbc.com
Right.
or info at The Voice or whatever. I was like, hey, I'm a hopeful, singer. I live in Minnesota and I would love the opportunity to audition, but here's the situation type of thing. And so I didn't hear back and I continued to get ready and for the graduation party, and it was on the way. So I said, I'm just going to pop in and see what's going on my way to the graduation party, because it was literally like 5 minutes from where the graduation party was. So at the XL Energy Center. So it's a super hot summer day. I get down there and the line had just got inside the building because it had been wrapped around the building all morning. So at this point, I'm like just shooting my shot, like hopeful. I had my daughter at that time. She was young. She was like probably like 3 or something.
Okay.
So I brought her inside and I got a talking to by a bodyguard who was like, this is like a job interview. Why do you got your kid with you? Like, what do you think this is? You're not taking this serious. And I'm like, oh shoot. So I called my brother and I'm like, can you come pick Cameron up? Cause I'm trying to audition for The Voice right now. And they said I shouldn't have her with me. So my brother came and souped her up and I ended up going through the audition process. So there's many rounds of auditioning. This is like the cattle call round where they call like 10 people in a room and you each get up and sing and they tell you, they call the names of the people they want to stay and everybody else, So I got up and sang Killing Me Softly. And then the other 9 people sang. And then, so she only called my name. She called me up to the table and she was like, you have a nice voice, but that song is very like outdated. I don't know if she used that word, but I got the point. She's like, they want to hear more like contemporary songs. So as you move forward, like if you move forward or whatever, like think about choosing more current songs. And I'm like, okay, but like in my mind, I'm like, this is a classic. What you mean? But anyway, so got the call back, and the callback is you come back like a few days later and you choose 3 songs and you perform those 3 songs. If you play instrument, you can bring your instrument with you, or you could bring an accompanist, or you can sing to a track.
Okay.
So I had an accompanist and I had a track. So the first song went well. Can't remember what it was. Second song was Killing Me Softly. Now I had the track and I had my friend on guitar, Omid, and we were going to play and sing with the track. But that song starts off with a very low bass note and I couldn't hear it. So when the bass note came in, I started singing because it goes bass note, vocal, and then later on the guitar will come in. I came in on the wrong note. And now Omid knows as a musician, like he knows the key it's supposed to be in.
Right.
I can't remember if he started playing with me in spite of the track being in a different key, or played with the track in spite of me being in a different key. But it was like half of the song trying to get on the same page.
Oh boy.
Me trying to so it was very uncomfortable. But finally, like halfway through the song, we got on the right track and it was smooth sailing from there. So I was like, ooh, that was embarrassing. But I'm like, I think I pulled it off anyway. I think they can see past that, hopefully.
Right.
And then they invited me to the next round, which was an interview. So same day, you go in this like room, interview with the person, they videotape it. And so I'm like, okay, this is good. Because they could have just told me thank you, sent me on my way, but they let me go to the next round. So then they're like, oh, thank you for the interview. Here's the information. You'll hear from us in a month. If you don't hear from us, then it means you're not moving forward.
Right.
So a month goes by and I'm hopeful up to the very end.
Of course.
And I didn't get the phone call. And I'm like, dang it. I think it was because of that glitch, in the beginning of Killing Me Softly. So then I heard they were not coming back to Minnesota, but they were auditioning again because they do 2 seasons a year.
Okay.
And they were going to be in Chicago. And Chicago's just like a hop, skip, and a jump. So I'm like, I could either fly or drive, but I felt good about the audition process the first time around for season 4. I'm going to try again.
Okay.
Go to Chicago. So I sent out an email because I'm like, well, maybe they'll just like let me go to the next round instead of doing everything again because I just did all that. So sent an email out to 2 different places. One was the casting director, who we had all that information on that sheet that's like, here's the next steps. And the other email I sent was like to info at the Voice, the same one that I contacted last time. And I basically said, hey, I auditioned for the last season. I got up to this round. Is it possible to audition again? But like just start where I just be so, what is the word? My mom always calls me this, entitled. Entitled. Anyway, but if you don't ask, you don't,
Exactly.
So basically, the first person responded and was like, oh, the casting director was like, sorry, you got to get back in line with everybody else. Then whoever responded from the info at the Voice email, they were like, sure, I got you a appointment interview.
For the 3 songs again?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I was like, so grateful.
Oh, yeah.
So went through that process. Long story short, every round, and I saw that bodyguard, he was like, I remember you. I was like, yeah, I remember you too. But he was friendly. So I was like, that's nice. I got to like have a more positive experience with him the second time around. But I felt like, oh, you remember me? I'm memorable. Okay, this is good. And some of the people remembered me as well, who were casting and stuff. So I sang Killing Me Softly. I sang, I'm not going to just get rid of my song.
No, right.
And I sang Diamonds by Rihanna, and I sang another one. And I can't remember what the third one was. But they ended up wanting me to do Diamonds for my blind audition. So I went through these rounds. It's like 4 pre-televised rounds, 4 different points where you can be let go. Jeez. I finally got to the blind audition. Oh my gosh, I remember that moment. I will never forget it. I was so nervous, and the lights went low. Like you have no warm up time to like get comfortable on stage. It's just like
So
lights
it's all
low.
real, just like the TV show kind of shows
Oh yeah,
for the
you don't
singers.
get a redo. It's like this is it.
Oh,
It's like jumping in and swimming, and it's like you sink or
right.
swim. So the lights were low, and then you hear the band. They have a real band.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, doom, shine bright like a diamond. And I'm like, just swimming. So I'm just like, get through the song, hit the note. Like, there's like that big note that I was so scared of.
Yep.
And that I had labored over rehearsing and getting ready for it. So anyway, I'm just like, just swim, hit the notes, hit the words, like, and then before I know it, like they turned around, and then I guess CeeLo was like, I guess I'm gonna turn around too. So I got like 3 and a maybe. But anyway, all 4 of them turned around, and it was like a dream because all we needed was one person to turn around to be on the show, to get on a team.
Mm-hmm.
So then I knew I had made it on.
And I vividly remember watching and messaging you and being like, "What team did you choose?" I don't know if you remember.
And I couldn't tell. I don't remember that, but
I was
tell
like,
me.
"Oh man, I wonder what team she picked," because I was
You trying to
like
get that
Adam.
inside scoop?
Yeah, I was like, "Did you pick CeeLo?" I was hoping you picked CeeLo, but inevitably,
a lot of people were like, "Why did you pick Adam? Like, why didn't you pick CeeLo?" You want to know the answer to that question?
Adam had a massive team that year.
He did.
That's what made it tough for you.
Yeah,
because you had to go up against the best early
and see somebody else, because we're all behind the scenes trying to like strategize, and they're like, well, Blake is gonna want his country artists to win. So, but which is not really true, because in retrospect, first of all, Blake's first the first person who ever won on Blake's team, I think, was a black man who sang R&B.
Javier.
You have a good memory. That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was like the first.
He may have won. He may have been on Adam's team too, but that he did win one year.
Right. So and so it's not the case that Blake doesn't root for his non-country artists, but we're back there trying to like strategize whose team are you gonna pick and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not gonna go with Blake because I'm not a country singer. And then somebody else was like, as we were finding out, because it's supposed to be kept a secret, but like word gets out who's on whose team.
Okay.
So somebody was like, if you pick CeeLo, he's got like a lot of people who like they're blowing. Like, so if you're not like a running blowing artist, like you might not make it on that team. So I'm like, okay, yeah, because I'm like I'm more like a pop singer. Like, yeah, I'm an R&B singer, but I'm not like a belt out these high notes and do all these acrobatic runs kind of singer.
But I think your voice is so unique. It is different in its sense, where it doesn't have to be pop, or you don't have to blow it out.
Right. But in this competition, and when you're going up against people like Tessa and Chen, so I couldn't avoid it. Like, this is like that kind of show where people like to see people hit those notes. And I guess as time went on, actually, they kind of appreciated more sultry, more tonal voices. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also as the style of music kind of got away from so much big belty singers to more like singer-songwriter. I feel like it kind of favors more singer-songwriter, like people who aren't doing like big acrobatic things with their voices, but more tone.
Right.
But anyway, so they were like, don't pick CeeLo because he got these people on his team. And then I'm like, well, going into the competition, I always thought when I would watch the show, me and Adam, I'm like, I see eye to eye with like all his feedback and the people who tend to be on his team and stuff. I feel like we have the same kind of taste.
Right.
And I'm like, we would see eye to eye. I think he would get me. So I said, if he turns around, I'm going to pick him. And then Christina was never really like a real option in my mind. I think it was more just like personality thing. Right. As I was watching the show, I'm like, I don't think I would vibe with her personality wise. But she had really great things to say too. So like in retrospect, I'm always like, well, what would have happened if? But Blake had really nice things to say when I had left, because when I got knocked out because I lost to Tessan, the only coach who had a save left was my coach, and he couldn't save me back to his team. But Blake was like, man, I wish I had a save. I would have totally like had you on my team. He liked my raspy, He's like, you have this quality of your voice that I can't explain it. But so like he really appreciated my vocal style and stuff and had really good things to say. So in retrospect, I'm always like, and he was the first person that turned around.
Just before Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So when I watch it back in retrospect, I'm like, dang.
Hindsight's always going to be 2020.
Yeah, but the cool thing is I could say I lost to the winner because
Exactly.
Tessanne went on to win, and I was rooting for her the whole way after when I was off the show.
She was a powerhouse.
And she's such a sweet person too behind the scenes.
Good.
I love when people have talent and they also have like a sweet personality or just
Right.
like a fun personality. It's not just talent and they're not like stuck up because they're so great.
Right. So from that contest, I mean, not just physically being able to hit what you want to, but mentally, like the preparations and the 4 auditions. I speak about this a lot, like having a strong mentality, being able to overcome things. Was this different? Was this the first time you faced kind of like in life or musically when you had to, step up to these challenges?
Well, so we both left Gustavus after 2 years because we had life-changing events, right?
Yes.
Very different life-changing events, but it pivoted us nonetheless. And so when I found out I was pregnant, that was a challenge in itself, like having to accept or make a big decision whether to continue the pregnancy
Right.
and how am I gonna, what's my life gonna look like moving forward? Am I gonna be able to finish school? So it was a very mental and emotionally taxing time in my life. So it's not that I had never been through. Obviously, it's completely different than a singing competition, but you have to put things into perspective and like kind of look outside of the now, look long term and weigh pros and cons and everything. I'm a very analytical person, so I literally made a list of here's what my life would look like if I decided to move forward with the pregnancy. Here's what it would look like, or like the pros and cons of moving forward or terminating my pregnancy. So that, and I had a depression and everything related to that too. So, to answer your question, it wasn't the first time I had to like mentally and emotionally adjust or like prepare myself.
Right.
But it was very like I had a very physiological like response to the whole thing. Like before I went out to sing the last song in the knockout round, I was in tears because I was like, I see where this is going. They put me up against Tessanne, and like it's like the end of the day, I know the saves were probably used up. I'm like, they're trying to kick me off the show. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, but I
gosh.
gotta pull it together. I still gotta get out there and I gotta sing through the nerves,
Right.
through the knowing that I wasn't gonna win. Like I knew when they told me who I was going up against, I was not gonna win that. But the question is, am I going home or am I gonna go to a different team?
Right.
And then like the idea of like overcoming insecurities and facing those insecurities on a national stage, international stage.
Right.
That was a lot. I worked with actually 2 different vocal coaches behind the scenes that they provided to us and talked about like my fears of like high notes. And I'm like, I'm trying to play it safe and I want to do this song, not this song, because this song is going to stretch me. It might embarrass me if I'm not able to like do it well. And so those were some of the mental things I had to deal with behind the scenes of The Voice. And then accepting when I realized this is the end of the road, like keeping a positive mindset about it. And I think like that's how I was able to also make that decision of I'm going to be a mother. I'm going to make it work anyway. I'm going to do what I can to still finish school. I'm going to do what I can to still do music and all these things that I'm worried that I won't be able to do. I'm going to try my best. And here's the positives. Yeah, I'm not having my daughter young, but we'll be able to be like, I'll still be young when she's like 10 and we can be like friends and we can have conversations and stuff like that. So looking on the bright side of things. And that's the same thing I did when I realized, okay, I've lost the knockout round. I'm not being saved. This is the end of the road. All these possibilities that I had for myself that could come of this, competition. I never really thought I was gonna win, but everybody wants to get far.
Right.
And when it's like, nope, this is as far as you go. And it was like, well, it was a great experience. Like automatically I turned to all the positives. I'm like, I got to come out to LA, see palm trees for the first time and get this wonderful experience and work with these amazing people, from the choreographers to the PA staff, just like helping us behind the scenes, to these stars that have heard me sing now and have
Right.
encouraged me and told me great things about my abilities. Like, it's not all bad. So it's basically like looking on the bright side of things. And that's kind of what I that's kind of like how I get through a lot of things in life, a lot of hard stuff. It's just looking on the bright side.
I start these podcasts by basically choosing to focus on the positives rather than negatives.
Hmm.
Because for me, I mean, the negatives will just pile up every day, every little thing, needing help with everything. So it
Hmm.
sounds like this is why we're still close. So
Hmm.
same mentalities over here.
Right.
Did that voice going through open up doors when you did get eliminated? Was there somebody waiting after to say, "We really love your music, your
Hmm.
style, your tone. We'd love for you to be our agent, be something."
Mm.
I can just imagine someone just picking up the phone and being like, "Hey, we saw you on TV.
Yeah.
Come sing for us."
A lot of opportunities came of it, but I didn't get an agent or a manager, which I at one point I was like, I wish I did,
That
because
shocks me.
yeah, and sometimes it's like a numbers game. Like the further you get in, to the competition, the more of an audience you build, the more y- I feel like labels want somebody who's kind of got a built-in fan base. And because I got cut so early in the competition and there were still like, you know,
Building up
20 more people.
yeah,
Yeah, like I feel like when you get to that top spot, when you've gotten so much exposure and the spotlight's more heavily on you, then that's more enticing for somebody to be like, okay, I want to come in and invest time and like sign this person. That's my guess, is because I didn't stay long enough to really build a real fan base, and I didn't cultivate what I did have from the time that I was on there to like build it bigger to attract um labels. Sony did reach out about a song that I put out, but it wasn't from The Voice. So like,
okay,
okay, so that's one thing. But also yes, I got a lot of opportunities to perform,
okay,
and it was mainly in Minnesota.
right,
Because I was on the news, like me and Holly, I forgot her last name,
nope,
she sang Creep. It
okay,
was really big.
I remember her.
She was also, I think, a four-chair turner, but like she and I both were from Minnesota. We both got eliminated in the same round. So the press and everything around, surrounding our participation on The Voice got us a lot of opportunity. Well, I don't know what it did for her, but like it got us a lot of exposure in Minnesota. So I was able to catapult my career in town, and still to this day, people will like put Ashley DuBose from The Voice on the bill. Like it's a resume,
Oh yeah, of course.
thing that has helped me, and I think just the exposure and the fact that there's a million singers, right? Maybe not a
Yeah,
million. There's a lot
it's
of
a
great
lot.
singers, but when you can kind of stand out above the crowd and because of an accolade like The Voice or whatever, that gets you more opportunities and more visibility. And like if somebody thinks, oh, we need a singer, you're gonna more quickly come to mind, type of thing.
Right.
So that helped in that way, and I've been able to you know sustain myself from the success and the exposure from The
Because
Voice.
yeah, and you should be proud of the voice. You should be able to hang that accolade wherever you go.
Thank you.
And of course, and with that too, you had a few singles before the voice
Hmm.
that kind of kicked off your solo career.
Hmm.
And then
I had a whole album actually.
oh, I remember that was what
Yeah,
we were talking about.
something more, but yeah, something more was also a single, and it was the title of my album.
Okay. And
Mhm.
then you did release, how long was BU after the voice? Was that your first one after the voice?
Yep.
Okay.
So I did something more, and then I did something more acoustic because I wanted to put something out before I signed the contract with The Voice. Because like if you put anything out or write anything during your time on The Voice, they technically own it.
Oof.
I know.
That's tough.
So it was like, okay, let me put this out real quick so I don't have like this huge gap in putting out content. And it was an acoustic version of the album, so I didn't have to like rewrite a bunch of songs, but it was like a different vibe. And I was just like, I need to put something out. And then once I was off the show, I started working on the BU album. It was supposed to come out. So I was on the show in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And then late 2013 was when they aired my exit from the show. Started working on the next album. It was supposed to come out in 2014, but it got pushed back twice. And it came out in the beginning of 2015.
Okay. Got it. And I still listen to Intoxicated off that album.
Yeah,
Fantastic song.
Intoxicated it was so big. Like that's the one Sony reached out to me
Okay.
about. I don't even know how it got so viral. Like it has like 6 million plus streams on Spotify alone, and then like other platforms. I'm sure it has its big numbers. But I wrote that in my room while I was painting my first, not my first apartment, my second apartment, but the first one didn't allow me to paint. So when my second one, when I moved into that one, and they said it was an art space, like an artist live workspace.
Yep.
So they were really open to you like making the space your own. I was painting everything. My daughter's room, my room. So I'm in the room like late at night just coming up with the chorus. And then I was thinking about my relationship with my daughter's dad, which is ironic because I never really wanted to get back with him or anything, but it was just like a hypothetical what if scenario that inspired the song. Then later on, we ended up getting back together.
Maybe you
Years
brought
later.
it to fruition.
Maybe, yeah. So I'm like, oh, let me start singing about all the things I want in life.
Your dream board coming to life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am so infatuated with music, and having artists like on the show, I have so many questions just about writing music, right? Mentally, you're painting a room and you're thinking, this is probably your biggest single, I would say,
Yeah.
Intoxicated. You were painting your room.
Yep.
Like, is this something where you found it's easier and comes through easier when you're not thinking about it
Yes.
versus sitting down being like, pen and paper, I need something?
Yes, I got chills just like thinking. I don't know what these chills are for. That's interesting. So like chills are good to me. Whenever I get chills, it's like a spiritual thing.
Okay.
Yeah, sitting down and writing with a pen and paper with a beat is so taxing and like frustrating because it's so rigid and it's like come up with something now.
Right.
And it has to be this tempo and it has to match this key and it has to go, and it's just like that's not free enough, So when I'm doing something like taking a shower or washing dishes or vacuuming the floor, I came up with BU when I was vacuuming my living room. It's like these mundane tasks where your mind's just able to just float. And it's usually when I'm in a good mood.
Okay.
I've come up with songs when I've been sad before, but they didn't really do much. I mean, I'm sure they connect with somebody somewhere, but like the ones that have really like made a mark and like people say like, that's my favorite song. It's like songs that come when I'm in a good mood.
Nice.
And yeah, I think it's just the freedom and your mind gets to be on autopilot. Your body, you don't have to think too much. When you're washing dishes, it's just like you don't have to think about it. You're able to go somewhere else.
So then do you write that down or how do you memorize?
I just repeat it until sometimes I repeat it so much that it just becomes like a memory and it'll pop into my consciousness later on. Sometimes I'll do that and then I forget it and it's somewhere in the recesses of my brain and it's like, dang, I should have wrote that down because that was good.
Right.
Sometimes I record it as a voice note on my phone.
Okay.
And then, I'll write it down too or type it into my phone.
I don't want to give away your secret, but it sounds like you write great songs when you're doing chores.
And that's probably why I haven't been able to write in so long because I need to clean my friggin' house.
There you go. We may have a new album.
Clean my room.
We may have a new album coming out before you know it.
Yeah.
No, it's just interesting to me. I always wanted to know where it comes from, if you're writing poetry, if you're just thinking of certain things. Is it more current events with what's going on? Like you'd mentioned, kind of tapping back into what ifs? Or is it something that you may see one day or think about a memory?
It's really
Just sporadic?
Sporadic. Whenever I'm like, love is a big one, you know, like in love, or there's a love interest, or there's like something on the horizon, like that's exciting and new. Or if it's just like a beautiful day and I feel so grateful. Like it's just like just looking outside right now at the sun and like the trees and stuff, it makes me feel good. I'm like, I bet I could probably write something if I had the leisure to just not think about a million things I gotta do.
Right, right.
Um, Sometimes it's like, yeah, sometimes current events, like Die Tomorrow, I talked about some things. Like I'm thinking, so I put a lot of there's a lot of songs of mine that have like lessons in them too. So when I think about life lessons, I'm like, how can I turn this life lesson into a song? Like, how can I put the medicine in the music, you
Right.
know?
It's one of my close friends loves J. Cole, and he loves kind of his
Mm.
lyrics and how they hit. A lot of those are life lessons as
I
well.
was just watching a video of his yesterday. Not a music video, just him talking about love and marriage and
Yeah.
how relationships take work and it's not always roses and blah blah blah. He's such a wise person and
Mm.
it makes so much sense when you see his interviews and you hear his music. Like, but he does a good job of making his music still like, edgy enough and catchy enough, but he
Relevant.
puts the medicine in there. He put the messages in there.
I would say he's one of my favorite rappers that's still doing it today.
Mhm.
There's not a whole lot, but I still like his stuff.
Yeah. I like him too.
No, that's great. And then, as we just kind of continue with the mindset, you know, you're in while you're singing in a competitive landscape. Like,
Mhm.
what do you think separates you from the next person? Or what did you want to say to yourself? Like, how can I become better than the next person that's trying to audition? Does that go through your
Mhm.
mind at all? Is that something that you ever like thought about?
Well, I'm not a very competitive person when it comes to music, but I do there's been the thought of like when I start to compare myself to other people, I
Mhm.
remind myself why I appeal or what I have to offer. Like, yeah, that person can be good. We can all have something to offer. Just
Right.
because you have something to offer don't mean I don't. And
Mhm.
I think about, okay, what do I have to offer? And I think I have that perspective. I think my melodies are like I pride myself in songwriting.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I write the best songs and they're better than everybody else. It's just that I'm very intentional about what I write. Like I can't imagine just like coming up with something. But people do it all the time and I wish I could be that person who's like, "Oh yeah, I just like
Whip this up.
just freestyled this." I'm like, "What? You freestyled it? Like how, cuz I'm like I have to be very intentional about like everything I'm saying and it has to make sense. And I don't like throwaway lines cuz
Right.
I'll always hear it and I'll always know that was a throwaway line. And it won't sit well with me, even though everybody else might love it. So I pride myself in my intention
Good.
behind what I write and what I put out.
Got it.
Yeah.
Um, Hypothetical, if you could sing with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question, a hard question. I've been asked it before, and I have said India Ari. But let me just give this some good thought right now.
Okay.
Dead or alive. Yeah, because I like her content and when it comes to like being intentional about, what we sing about, we would vibe on that. We wouldn't just be getting on a track saying any old thing just because it sounds good.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I stick with that. Doing a song with
I
her,
like it.
co-writing, that would
Yeah,
be cool.
that would be sweet. Maybe she'll see this someday.
Call me India.
There you go. So,
DM me.
what is Ashley up to now?
Okay, so right now I'm currently making a baby.
Baby
I
number
mean, I don't have
3?
to do much. I just live and it grows inside of me. It's kind of nice.
You don't have to downplay it.
Yep, but baby number 3 is on the
Okay.
way. So I have a 14-year-old daughter, Cameron, and I have a 20-month-old as of now. When this drops, he might be 21
Mhm.
months because he's like 20 and a half months. What does that mean in layman's terms? He's one, going on two. And then I have a baby boy due in January. Well, January 1st. So
Could
could
be
be
the first.
December.
Could be the first baby born in 2024?
Could be
There you go. I think
12:01
they get
a.m.
something. I think they get something on TV or news.
I hope we get some money.
There you
That's all I want.
So,
All I want
and
for Christmas, some money. I'm just kidding.
you're still singing,
Mhm.
more so in your band?
Yep. So I sing with the cover band. We just did a couple holiday shows called North Star. The holiday shows weren't called North Star. The band is called North Star. And we did a couple holiday shows. I was out of commission for a while because I got injured. So I was like for a month and a half, 2 months actually, out of work, not performing, had to give up a bunch of cool opportunities. I was gonna fly to Florida to sing BU
Oh,
for this like big conference where it could have resulted in more opportunities to
right.
sing down the road. And they would guess it wasn't meant to be. Somebody else needed that opportunity because I got injured
Happens.
and couldn't do it. So anyway, so that's fun. That set me down, and that was also a mental challenge. It was
Right.
a lot of pain, a lot of getting through and like finding the good in the situation.
Right.
Um I want to make more music, but I want to have something to say. I don't want to just make it just because I think, oh man, it's been a while.
Yeah, you feel the need to have to put stuff out?
Yeah. But it's there. I feel like it's brewing. I feel like right now it's just a chapter in my life where I'm focusing on being a mother. And I mean, I've always been a mother, not always, but for 14 years.
Mhm.
But when my daughter was younger, I was juggling school, performing, trying to like build this career as an artist. I was recording and I stay busy. I feel like that's just like a part of me because like even now I had shared with you behind the scenes, but like I'm, you know, picking up IT again. So I have a degree in math and I worked in IT for a couple years. And now that I have a baby on the way, I'm trying to diversify and um, my income stream so that I can make money from home. And IT is a great field to work from home in. And I already have like a foundation there. So I'm like, let me brush up on my coding skills. So I'm keeping myself busy. I don't know
Right.
what life is going to look like when the baby gets here. But so yeah, I'm a student and also developing real estate,
Doing it all. This
investing.
is goes back to the many hats that we started this
Yeah.
interview with.
Okay, I'm like I was going somewhere with this. But I feel like I'm able to be more present with my son and my both of my children, but like my teenager's more like, she likes to hang with her friends and do her own thing and be in her room and stuff. But like this time around, I get to, they're not in daycare. Whereas before, my daughter was in daycare a lot. She was, I had shared custody. So she
Mhm.
was kind of bouncing back and forth between households. And this time I feel like I have more time and focus on raising my son,
Yeah,
soon to be sons.
of
Uh,
course.
I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be a blur as much. I get to relive those younger years.
Of course. There's absolutely
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So I'm okay with not being super productive in the area of music right now. 'Cause I
Who
feel like
knows?
life experience will inform my next creation.
Yeah.
And this is time to get those experiences.
Could open opportunities that you never thought or experienced before, or reliving them will maybe bring out some certain things
Hmm.
that you've never had before. So, all for it. Sounds exciting.
Right.
Well, I usually end with my guests now. For your situation, basically, going through everything that you did, going through the voice, but then also, like we talked about, having Cami at 20,
Hmm.
definitely seen a lot of trials and tribulations and going through, and a lot of no's in your life,
Hmm.
a lot of rejection with music, with everything that comes with that, because it's an extremely competitive, cutthroat industry.
Hmm.
How do you continue to live life with hope and positivity, even after living a life with, a lot of rejection throughout the career that you chose, and going through? I know it's a heavy question, but
It is a good question. I think, and thank you for making me reflect on it too, because sometimes we do things without thinking about it, right? We
mhm,
live without really thinking about how we live.
exactly.
And I'm like, okay, so I do believe that everything happens for a reason. And I do believe that even closed doors are a blessing because you weren't supposed to go through that door. Maybe you're supposed to go through this door, or this window or whatever. Um, I believe what's for me is for me. And in hindsight, I'm able to appreciate not being thrust into the spotlight or getting certain yeses and understand that when it comes down to either me or somebody else, it wasn't for me, it was for that other person. That other person was blessed in that. And I'm doing okay. Like so when I look at, what I have to be grateful for and the things that are going well in my life, I wouldn't trade that because I don't know what the alternative looks like, but I know what right now looks like. And I'm grateful for XYZ. So that helps me understand that even when I get a no or disappointment or unexpected circumstance can come up, um, positive things can still come of that. So I think just that philosophy
Hmm.
that all things work together for my good, for your good, um, and that this life, everything is temporary anyway, the good and the bad. So I think that helps me keep a positive mindset. When I say keep, I don't say keep like I'm always positive because
Right.
I'm not.
You're not
But
humans.
right,
It wouldn't be.
but that's what I think of when I'm faced with a choice. Either be down and out about something, or if you can't do nothing about it, look at the things that are good that come from this thing that you can't control or make it what you want it to be.
Right. I love that. I think searching for the positives, I mean, that's basically my motto living through life, kind of knowing where we come from, all the little achievements that we made along the way.
Hmm.
I think it just accumulates to where we are now and where we could go in the future.
Hmm.
So, well, thank you again for joining me here today.
Thank you, Brendan, for having me.
Of
This was
course.
so nice.
Oh, so fun.
We still gotta have a part two conversation where we catch up and I ask you a million questions.
Yes, absolutely. We'll get on that track. Thank you. This has been another episode of Living Life with Brendan podcast with Ashley DuBose.